This is Shaun. He loves horror movies, and I recently found out he had never seen Descent. So I made him watch it, and now he's going to tell us what he thought about it. Shaun, let's kick it off.
Oh boy. Okay, so I knew about The Descent because it came out in that weird. I always lumped The Descent in with Wolf Creek and High Tension.
Yep.
In that like weird, un-American.
The early 2000s like boom of all of the foreign horror movies that started coming out.
Exactly. And I'd seen High Tension, and I was like, this movie is awful. And so then I never watched Wolf Creek, and I also, I never watched The Descent because even at a young age, people were like, this is the scariest movie ever made. And it was marketed like one of the most extreme, terrifying films you'll ever see, The Descent.
Yeah, I do remember promotions putting that, and it made me not see it in theaters, and it made me wait till video to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I made a huge mistake for the past 20 odd years.
Yeah.
Because this is legitimately an all-time horror movie. I was immediately like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. So from the offset, we have, I believe Sarah's her name. It's been a couple of days since I watched it. So we have our lead, extreme women, bunch of badasses, kayaking, right?
Yeah.
So from the get-go, it's like, cool, they can handle themselves. This is gonna be great. And then we meet Juno.
Yeah, yep. I've been, honestly, that was going to be my big question I was going to kick you off with, was your perception on the main three characters of the film.
Yeah, and so I think with Juno is hot leader, second in command seems to our lead, and she is doing his man so hard. And like, it's obviously just like eye of the viewer, and you see, cool, Juno's with the husband, this and that.
Yep.
And then we get on the road and, bam, just pulls straight through the car seat. The shot is awesome. That coming out the rear end of the headrest is like really effective and terrible. And it's really violent out of nowhere, right? So I was really excited because I was like, awesome. She never got the answer, right? So she's gonna have, and immediately I'm like, cool, she's gonna figure it out in the cave when there's nobody to stop her from killing anybody. And it was really exciting going in. And the meet up, and we get with the crew, we get Juno's new best friend, who's obviously a little too reckless, and we get, who is the girl that Juno spikes?
Alice?
I think Alice.
Let me pull up the cast on my phone and we'll talk about
it. But immediately we see them, the landscapes are great, the shots are great, lots of big aerial footage. So the movie feels really big, even though it's obviously about claustrophobia and like with a really small cast. So
Beth,
thank you. We get into the cave and we get Juno leaving the cave book behind. Not knowing a lot about spelunking, I don't really know what that means when I'm watching it for the first time.
It is kind of cool because I didn't either. I mean, look at me. I don't I go spelunking. But whenever you find out the reason it's so bad, it is oh my God, you idiot.
Yeah, and it's almost more fun to realize it in hindsight.
Yeah,
because we see her put the book up, but to learn it with the other characters, I experience how angry I am at Juno with the other characters. And so we get into the cave and we get these CG bats, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. It's gonna be. I'm not gonna like. It's just gonna be. It's gonna be like Deep Rising. It'll be solid, and I'll say it's too bad that the CG aged really badly. So the bats were like really discouraging because they look awful, right?
The good thing is that scene is only 6 to 8 minutes into this film.
Yeah, we're still really early, and the poles looked really good.
Oh, it looks incredible.
In the cars.
Going back because I watched this last night, and watching how they set it up and how quick the cut is, it makes it so much worse.
Isolated sound.
Yep.
Bump, crash, shing, and it's like, then like the overhead shot that rises from the car to show the damage.
And the realization of, oh my God, the kid was right behind the dad in the car. It's whenever that clicks, it's perfection.
Yeah, and they don't have to show that either because of the angle from the overhead. But anyway, so we get in there and the dynamics of this team really start to take hold. Like Juno has still been in action.
Yeah.
Right? Her sidekick is like adept and the camera person, right? So
Holly.
Yeah, Holly. And we can get some really cool night vision shots with the camera later. That's an awesome device for the movie. And then everybody else just kind of falls into line. Sarah is, you know, a little bit like, not like out of shape, but getting back.
She's out of it, yeah.
Yeah, she's getting back in the rhythm.
She just dealt with, you know, finally getting to a place to where she's okay after the traumatic event that happened to her.
Yeah. And then Beth is along for the ride. And who is the youngest one that is?
That is Sam.
Yes.
Sam is the youngest.
Okay, and then there's the older
Rebecca.
Rebecca is the older one, because those are the two that get kind of paired together.
Yeah, they are together most of them.
Gotcha. So we get in there and like, I'm already like interested because of the hook with the husband. I'm really excited about. I'm thinking I hope this is a smart movie and not just a creature movie. And you know, we get into it. We get this awesome claustrophobic scene as they go kind of deeper in. It's a little bit claustrophobic, but then we find out that once they make it through that other end of the tunnel, that first tunnel that's not like the bad one.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're lost. Juno screwed us on the books. So Juno is like an enemy, and you know, the movie wants us to think she's a cheater, right? And it's also like, we probably understand she's a cheater, but it's cool to think, what if she wasn't a cheater?
Yeah, whenever I first watched this, I didn't pick up on the cheating aspect of it. This is whenever it first came
you were
out,
a kid.
so I was way younger. So whenever the events that happened throughout the movie started happening, I was very confused on why so many people hated Juno.
You look down and you would have missed the glance.
Exactly. So the part that I did understand why they liked him is the part that we're at right now, because they go in depth to let you know that not only did she forget the book, she also decided, we're going to go find a cave by ourselves.
Yes.
We're going to explore this cave that nobody's ever explored. It is unknown territory, and we're going to go do it together with no idea where we're going.
Yeah, it's just completely reckless. And Juno thinks it's like some kind of, you know, like, this could be me doing like the Zack Snyder like bullshit analysis, but like it could be like she was trying to over-atone for what she knew she did.
Oh yeah, she is.
She's also still wearing the necklace, which is like, you know, that's kind of shitty. But anyway, so Juno's like, cool, hate her. Hate her, just a total asshole. Hate Juno more than anything. And you know, Sarah starts to sees this shadow. There's a creature of a guy just like hanging up there. And that's like the only thing we really get. And then we're 40 minutes into the movie, and I'm just like all great horror movies, like you could take the monsters out of this movie and it would be an incredible survival thriller.
It would be perfect.
Yeah. I think like, you know, The Thing, if you take the monster out of that, it could have just been people going crazy on a base, 100%. Right? Or, you know, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but.
So did you know anything about this movie going into it? Like the creature design or anything?
I'd seen the trailers and stuff, and of course the really famous shot of them turning the night vision, right? And so when Chelsea was like, "What is this?" I was like, "It's The Descent." She goes, "What's it about?" And I go, I think it's about people that get trapped with monsters in a cave. And from marketing that I've seen, I'm pretty sure that the women become badass and they fight back. So I think it's supposed to be really cool. I think it's supposed to be scary, but I think it's also supposed to be kind of badass in that they fight back. Because that's just the vibe that you get from, I remember the marketing trailers I've seen. I haven't seen any clips of The Descent.
Okay, cool.
And the reason I went back to watch it is because Reddit is constantly, the horror Reddit, people are constantly asking for movies like The Descent. They'll say, hey, I'm looking for a movie that's like The Descent, that's claustrophobic and, isolated.
I don't think that there is a better film from that time that makes you feel as claustrophobic as The Descent.
Yeah, and I have thoughts on that. I'll make sure and I'll get back to that. But so we get this really cool chasm crossing that's very harrowing. I did have a little issue where, like, you can totally see where they hid the monkey bars for them to stick their hands up into.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do?
I know. But the suspense was still there, and they find the old pike from the original people that were in there. So let's just get into the nest. The production design takes a huge, awesome turn. It's already claustrophobic, but I have a map in my head of, like, where they are.
Yep.
And I think the lighting it's like one of the most well-lit, it's probably the most well-lit movie
for where they're at. Yes, it's the best lit cave film.
Yes, because like I'm only as disoriented as they are, but I can tell where they are.
Yeah.
Right. We get Holly's leg break, which is one of the most. It's
so bad.
It's one of the most terrible compound fractures ever.
I think the reason why it is so violent is when you first see it, it's not like every other movie when you get a compound fracture and you see the entire bone just blown out. It's that little piece that's sticking out of the joint.
Yeah, and I think it's like any horror movie where, as the audience member, you're thinking, just kill me.
Yep.
Kill me.
Yep.
Don't. Like, I think that's, like, really great. I think that's why Evil Dead 2013 is, like, so good for me, because it's like, after she's assaulted in the woods and stuff, and everybody thinks she's just on drugs, I'm thinking, just kill me. I don't want to, like...
I think that goes for everybody in that movie, too.
But The Descent is so good like that, because it's like, hit her in the head with a rock. Put
her out of misery. You're not getting out of this.
Yeah, the second you come up to another narrow gap, what are you going to do? Like,
you're done.
And it's just so dire. So we get to the nest, and the monsters are really cool. And here's why they're cool. It's because they're so beatable.
Yeah.
It's there, and they're vampire golem creatures.
Yeah, they
right?
are.
And the way they move is great. The nest production design is really disgusting, and their eyes, glossed and filmed over, are really cool. And they're basically Batmen without the wings.
Yeah.
And then we get this turn with Juno, where it's like, I hate Juno, but she's kind of sick, though.
Yeah, Juno,
man.
that's one of my favorite things about this movie is how much you're torn with Juno.
Yeah.
You love her and you hate her at the same time. And every time you really start to like her, something rears its head.
Exactly. And so we get this turn where Juno's just beating the shit out of these monsters and stuff. And it's like, and you're like, oh, go, Juno, go. And that spin, turn, flap, it's just as effective as the pole scene from earlier. And Beth is just necked.
And the audio here is so good because you hear her like gagging and begging Juno.
You can hear the air bubbles as her throat fills up with blood. And Juno is obviously like, oh!
Yeah.
Horrified.
But what did you think about when Juno realizes what she's done and Beth is begging and her slowly backing into the darkness?
Yeah, I think it's Juno's obviously her need to survive is more important than her friendships and her relationships, right? And I think that moment's so important because what it does is it validates how the film ends it's funny because okay, let's just get to it. But just keep that in mind. So that moment is really important because of what happens with Sarah and Juno later. So we get split up. I love the dynamic of Rebecca and Sam because you get a Juno-like sense from Sam that she's okay with expending other people too. Like I can't remember, something happens with Beth or she hears some kind of screams.
She hears Juno screaming and there's the monster above them, and they don't want to move because.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, thank God it went for somebody else instead of me, right? Instead of, you know, and again, like, I don't know what I would do in this situation either, but I thought, okay, cool. There's more friend dynamics of them like being more selfish in their
trying to survive.
Yeah. Night vision camera's awesome. Obviously, you know, Holly's ripped to shreds. Beth is cleaved, and we get Sarah on her kind of exodus journey.
Yeah, so Sarah had ran away earlier and fallen in a hole.
Yeah. We get so many references right here. It's like, oh, this is where Tomb Raider, the game, gets most of it. This is where
Outlast gets a lot of their
stuff,
too.
Outlast gets a lot of his shit. So Sarah has this awesome visual arc. I think this is another reason, like, you should watch Carolyn's revenge movie.
Yeah.
It's extremely Sarah-coded. Like,
the cover of that movie is incredible.
Yeah. But Sarah goes through the nest, and she's just swimming in the blood, and she just evolves, and she fights that little kid one that beats its ass in, and then Mama comes, and it's like, this movie's so metal.
It is. Did you expect to see Beth again while Sarah was in the...
No, I did not. Cool. I did not. So what's so cool, I got my leg up. I'm slutty today.
Yeah. I can tell you're interested in this conversation.
I'm excited. But yeah, so when we get back to Beth, it's like, oh man, let her die, for God's sake. And I think it's really funny that Beth gets off the speech to tell her that Juno did it to her, but doesn't say it was an accident because Juno walks away, right?
Yeah, at that point, you can't say it's an accident anymore because she didn't try to help her.
Yeah.
She left her.
Yeah, and it is like, perception is like, okay, she killed me, so I'd be bait. And, which still, I don't know if that's what happened, right? I don't know. I think it was an accident because she did swing on her.
In my opinion, I think it was an accident.
A happy little accident.
And then she looked at it as, they're going to go for her instead of me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fade off. Nobody will ever know.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, again, just like, cool. Sarah has to clean up Juno's mess by ending Beth, right? And it's really terrible.
And the necklace.
Yeah, the necklace falls out because she pulled it. And we get that speech and the callback, and we find that, of course, they were sleeping together, and her husband's quotes on Juno's necklace.
So Tiffany, my girlfriend, asked this question, and I want to ask it to you. Tiffany said, why didn't her friend tell her beforehand? Why did it take this situation to tell her that her husband was cheating with Juno? I replied to her, it's because she had already been through enough at that time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You don't want to drop it on her.
Well, maybe Beth didn't know.
She apologized. She said, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I would assume that she knows, because even at the opening, Beth is already looking at Juno and the husband and questioning it.
Gotcha. Okay, so Beth is kind of on team Sarah right there. But yeah, at this point, like, Sarah's covered in blood, super sick. Sam and Rebecca, they go through their kind of arc, and nothing develops too much except for insanely cool lighting with the glow sticks.
The glow stick, she does a really cool thing. Rebecca does. She holds her glow stick with her pick.
Oh yeah,
that she can see where she's going, and it's a really cool green glow scene through this little.
That was a nice touch because you get like the shadow of her weapon and then what's backlit. You had the monster also coming down from the ceiling as
which
well.
Is really cool looking.
But again, I think towards the end, as we get back to the tunnel, where the chasm where they crossed, it's like the dynamics here of the monsters are neat because it is this is a survivable situation, right? And in my head, I'm like, cool, I hope that this movie comes down to Juno and Sarah and there's no more monsters left, right? I was actually hoping that they would escape together. That my dream was for, in my head, I was like, I hope Sarah throws Juno back into the hole. But they finally get to this opening, and there's this huge wide shot it is 100 yards away. Hang on, let me do Juno and Sarah first. So Juno and Sarah fighting. The monsters, it's violent and terrible, just doing everything they can to survive. Biting the monsters, oh my God.
So just before we get into this description, at this point, you've got Sarah, who has just fought the mama in the blood pool, and then killed what I would assume would be the father, because he's one of the bigger looking monsters.
Yeah.
And by the time she meets back up with Juno, she is a completely different person.
Oh, yes, this transformation is crazy.
This is what I want to talk to you about. By the time you get to this transformation, what are your opinions on the development that Sarah has gotten?
I think it's funny because it's like her character is forged in blood.
Yeah, it is.
And it's
she is reborn.
Yes, it's like she basically washed herself of any inaction.
And it's really cool to see her at the beginning of the cave being scared and screaming to now being the most powerful one of the group.
Yeah. She's like, oh my God, I don't care.
Yep.
Also, a bonus fingernail rip scene for Rebecca.
It's very quick. Whenever I saw it last night, I went, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I watched it happen and I go, oh no! I kind of had fun with it a little bit.
It's quick.
Because if
y'all don't know, Shaun does not like fingernails are his big
Yeah,
so the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the wall, that's
the most terrible thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's bad.
I won't watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre for that reason. But no, her transformation is peak, and she's not gonna not say anything anymore. And it just reminded me of that revenge movie a lot. Just covered in blood. She's a complete maniac. She's a complete maniac.
Yeah.
And it is like you start to think, I wonder if there could be a turn here where I empathize with Juno more than Sarah.
And this is what I love about this movie, is because you want it to happen, but you also want that, hey, be smart with it and make it even worse.
Yeah. And the confrontation, kind of happens. It's very subtle. Sarah doesn't like cuss her out and stuff. She's just like, look at this, motherfucker.
But the reason why this is so good is when Sarah and Juno meet up, Sarah is asking Juno, what happened to Rebecca?
Yeah.
What happened to Sam? And then she goes, what happens to Beth? To test her, to see if maybe, just maybe.
If Juno will say, I accidentally hit her with the axe.
And she doesn't.
Yeah.
She says they got her.
Yeah, and that scene, that's what I was saying, like that walk away.
Oh.
If you hadn't seen the walk away, and this just completely validates the audience to say, okay, Sarah, you have my permission.
You are good to go.
You
are go for launch on that bad boy.
We are go to launch. And man, just whacks her in the knee, because it's like that's all it takes.
After a scene, so you have this big fight. It's Juno and Sarah versus 4, I think.
It's a lot of them. Yeah, they're coming.
But it's very fast and hectic, but it makes sense through this movie. And that was the other thing I was going to get to before we kind of start to wrap this up. So every attack scene you have in this movie is very quick. It's very fast. And
they use fast forward, but they use fast forward, and there's only a couple of times where it looks like fast forward. Sometimes they do an effective job of showing, no, the monsters just move that fast, which is what the effect that they were trying to do.
Did you think that it helped or hindered the film? Looking back at it now,
I think it helped.
Okay.
Because even though it's kind of bullshitty, it just feels chaotic, and even if it's not there to make the monsters feel faster, if it doesn't work that way, it does work in a way to jar me.
Yeah.
To make me feel like I'm not in control of the space.
Yep.
Or like at what frequency they could attack.
It makes you feel like you're there as they're getting attacked.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate.
It's like, I don't know where they're gonna come from because of their weird movement patterns, right? So Juno, to hell with you, I hate you. And this kind of final scene is, I was like, When she steps out after killing Mama and Daddy, and she's in the blood, I'm like, solid 8 right here, right? And then I'm like, we get to this part where she is climbing out of the bones, and this is what Tomb Raider ripped, right?
Yeah.
But there's this big wide shot, black gradient, beam of light on the bones, and she's climbing up, and I'm like, 2 points for Descent right there. That is awesome.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. And I was like, cool, this is a 10. I just buttoned it right there. That's a 10 movie. And her coming out of the hole and like coughing and like it's kind of overgrown and she's
foggy.
Yeah, and it's foggy and then it's green and saturated again. Yeah. And she's literally birthing herself out of the experience again. It was great. Kudos to her for handling that Bronco okay, because that bitch was hauling ass out of there.
I was just about to say,
she
is all over the place in that thing.
I was like, oh my God, do not get in a car wreck on the way out of there. And we get 2 final moments here where the truck almost hits her and it scared the shit out of me. And then 1 final jump scare with Juno's ghost in the truck, just to show that she is completely traumatized and not coming out of this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So was this your first Neil Marshall film?
I guess so. What else has Neil Marshall made?
He did that movie, Doomsday, in 2008, and then he did...
I've always wanted to watch that.
I've never seen it either.
Oh,
he also did Dog Soldiers. And I love Dog Soldiers.
Okay, I'll have to watch Dog Soldiers.
That's one of the movies that I own, and I'll let you borrow because it is kind of hard. I don't know if it's on some streaming platforms anymore or not.
We have to watch Doomsday then.
Yeah, we got to put that in. The cover to that one's really good too.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's probably, I would put it in probably my top 50.
Yeah, I would put this as horror. If I was to put it in 2000s horror, it's probably top 3.
Yeah,
for
maybe.
That era, without a doubt, I think it is one of the cream of the crops.
Yeah, it's like Faculty, Chainsaw Remake. Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I love that.
Remake.
28 days and weeks.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of stuff that really helps this film. But I am glad to hear that you enjoyed it so much. What did you score this as? I will give it a 10. I'll give Descent a 10.
I'll be damned. I will give Descent a 10. I think that it was so effective as a survival movie before the monsters came along. The fact that anytime a movie where the monsters are icing on the cake is spectacular. This could have easily been a movie about the women turning on each other in the cave and handling the dynamics there. The claustrophobia is just as scary as the monsters, and I'm appreciative of the fact that you can make a movie about people trapped in 1 foot wide caves, and you can disorienting your characters but not your audience is such a psychotic thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give The Descent a 10. I will say that it's only, if I'd watched it as a kid, it would probably be in like my top 15 or top 20.
Good. Awesome. I feel so good about this now.
Yeah. Until next time, go check out Greyson's never before watched review of Cujo.
Yeah.
Which was our first homework horror show idea we had. So go check that out and make sure and go watch our Scene Autopsy of Final Destination 2 car chase or car wreck. The chase of a wreck.
Yep. One of the best openings ever.
You guys have a great day, and thanks for sharing The Descent with me, Greyson.
Of course. Thanks for enjoying it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm going to click this now.
Go